The first light of dawn crept across Lake Eyasi, the horizon igniting in a breathtaking palette of orange and pink. The water's surface shimmered, mirroring the sky's transformation as the sun began its slow ascent. A gentle mist hovered above the lake, blurring the line between water and sky, while the distant call of a fish-eagle echoed across the stillness. The world here in Tanzania stirs awake with a quiet dignity. The savannah, bathed in the soft gold of morning, stretches endlessly, dotted with acacia silhouettes and the faint outlines of distant hills. The air is cool, almost brisk, carrying the earthy scent of dew-soaked grass and the subtle tang of minerals from the lake's edge. In this tranquil hour, the land is alive with anticipation. The silence is broken only by the gentle rustle of wind through the tall grasses and the distant rhythmic chorus of insects greeting the new day. The wilderness here is untamed, a living tapestry woven from the calls of unseen birds, the flutter of wings, and the soft scurrying of small creatures hidden beneath the undergrowth. Every inch of this landscape pulses with life, from the tiniest beetle to the towering baobab trees that stand as ancient sentinels. Wisps of smoke curl lazily from a distant campfire, mingling with the morning mist and drifting through the acacia branches. The scent of wood smoke blends with the crisp air, a reminder of warmth and life in the heart of the wild. The bush is alive with subtle movement. A flock of guinea fowls scurries through the underbrush, their feathers catching the first rays of sunlight. Overhead, a pair of hornbills glide from tree to tree, their wings slicing the cool air in silence. The simple shelters, crafted from grass and branches, seem to grow from the earth itself, blending seamlessly into the thorny scrubland. Around them, the land is dotted with wildflowers and the twisted forms of acacia, their thorns glistening with dew. Here, life is measured not by clocks or calendars, but by the rhythm of the sun and the subtle cues of the environment. The day's first light signals the beginning of activity, as the wilderness itself seems to stretch and yawn awake. The sky above is a vast canvas, streaked with the last traces of night. High overhead, a vulture circles, riding the gentle thermals that rise from the warming earth. The air is filled with the soft, melodic clicks of an ancient language, blending with the natural sounds of the bush. It is a harmony of voices and nature, a conversation as old as the land itself. Even without understanding the words, the meaning is clear. There is purpose, unity, and a deep respect for the world around them. The ritual of preparation is deliberate and unhurried. Bows are strung, arrows checked, each movement a testament to skill honed by necessity and tradition. In the distance, the landscape is dotted with the shadows of animals beginning their day. A dik-dik darts through the brush, while a troop of vervet monkeys chatter in the treetops, their calls echoing across the open plain. The lessons of the wild are everywhere, etched in the tracks pressed into the soft earth, whispered in the rustle of leaves, and revealed in the shifting patterns of light and shadow. The art of survival is written in every detail. The careful crafting of a bow, the patient study of animal tracks, the silent courage required to move through a world where danger and beauty are never far apart. Knowledge is passed not through words alone, but through demonstration, observation, and the unspoken bond between generations. Today, the air is thick with anticipation. The wilderness seems to hold its breath, aware that something significant is about to unfold. The focus is not on the smaller creatures that scurry through the grass or leap from branch to branch, but on something far more formidable. Somewhere out there, hidden among the thickets and tall grass, a Cape buffalo moves with heavy, deliberate steps. Its presence is felt even before it is seen, a force of nature, powerful and unpredictable. The mood is one of solemn respect, not fear. The hunt is not a sport, but a necessity, a dance with the wild that demands both caution and courage. As the last stars fade and the sky brightens, the group moves out, their forms blending with the landscape, shadows among shadows. The bush absorbs every sound, every footstep. The only evidence of movement is the gentle swaying of grass and the faint imprint left in the sandy soil. The tools of the hunt are simple: bows, arrows, and the accumulated wisdom of countless generations. Nothing more is needed in this world where every resource is precious. The landscape is a mosaic of contrasts: thorny thickets, ancient baobabs with swollen trunks, and rocky outcrops that catch the morning light. The lake glimmers in the distance, a silver ribbon winding through the wild. Every sound is a clue: a bird's alarm call, the sudden hush of insects, the distant crack of a branch. The environment speaks in a language of signs, and those who listen can read its secrets. Moving through the bush is not simply a journey, it is an act of reading, of interpreting the subtle messages left by wind, animal, and earth. Each step is guided by intuition and experience, a silent conversation with the land. I trailed behind, an outsider in this ancient world, my senses sharpened by the wild beauty and the quiet power of dawn at Lake Eyasi. Laid out upon the earth, the tools of the Hadzabe hunter form a silent testament to centuries of adaptation and resourcefulness. Each item, shaped by hand and time, is a product of the wild landscape itself. No modern materials, no manufactured parts, only what the land provides. The bow, carved from the resilient wood of the dombeya tree, displays a natural curve that speaks to the careful selection and curing of its timber. Its surface is smoothed by hours of abrasion with stone and sand, the grain of the wood running in perfect alignment for maximum strength and flexibility. Strung taut across the bow's limbs, the bowstring is a marvel of organic engineering, twisted from the sinew of large game. It is dried and stretched until it achieves a tensile strength rivaling modern synthetics, yet remains supple enough to withstand repeated use in the harshest conditions. The grip, wrapped in strips of softened hide, offers a tactile connection to the tool, insulating against the shock of release and providing a sure hold even in the heat of pursuit. Arrows, slender and straight, are crafted from reeds selected for their lightness and rigidity. Each shaft is meticulously straightened over a fire, then sanded to a smooth finish. The fletching, made from the feathers of local birds, is bound with plant fiber, ensuring stable flight and accuracy over distance. Arrowheads vary in form and function. Some are simple hammered metal points, sharpened to a fine edge for small game. Others are robust, their tips coated in a dark, viscous substance, poison, prepared for the most formidable quarry. The poison itself is a product of botanical alchemy. Extracted from the milky sap of the desert rose, it is simmered over embers until it thickens into a potent neurotoxin. This substance is applied with precision to the arrowhead, its lethality measured by generations of trial and observation. The application of poison is a delicate process. The sticky paste is layered onto the metal, forming a bond that will not flake or wash away, even in the thickest undergrowth or the wettest season. Once delivered, the toxin works gradually, disrupting the nervous system of its target. The arrow's design ensures deep penetration, maximizing the effectiveness of the poison. The tools also include implements for tracking, sticks for measuring stride, and containers for carrying fine dust to reveal the faintest of prints on hard ground. Every item is designed for stealth and efficiency, from the muted colors of the materials to the compactness of the gear, allowing for silent movement through tall grass and dense bush. The preparation of these tools is an outdoor ritual, performed in the open air, where the scents and textures of the wild inform every step of the process. Quivers, woven from tough grasses and lined with hide, are compartmentalized to separate arrows by type: lightweight shafts for birds, reinforced ones for baboons, and the heaviest, poison-tipped arrows reserved for large game. Small knives, their blades chipped from scavenged metal or stone, are honed to razor sharpness. These tools are essential for butchering and for crafting new implements in the field. The fire-making kit, consisting of 2 friction sticks and a bundle of tinder, is a compact survival system. With practiced technique, a spark is coaxed from wood alone, igniting dry grass to create life-sustaining flame. The arrangement of these tools in the grass is a study in self-sufficiency. Each piece is maintained, repaired, and replaced using only what the environment offers, ensuring nothing is wasted and every resource is respected. The true strength of this arsenal lies not in its complexity, but in its harmony with the land. Every tool is a bridge between necessity and nature, refined by countless seasons of use and adaptation. As we ventured deeper into the bush, the world transformed into a living tapestry of sound and sensation. The air was thick with the earthy scent of sun-baked soil and crushed leaves, mingling with the faint musk of distant animals. The midday sun shimmered above, its heat drawing out the resinous aroma of acacia and the sharp tang of wild sage. Every step released a new note, crisp, dry leaves crackling underfoot, the subtle perfume of trampled grass, and the occasional whiff of animal dung carried on a shifting breeze. The bush was alive with a symphony of sound. Insects droned in the heat, their buzzing rising and falling in waves. Hidden birds called to each other in bursts of melody, their songs weaving through the dense undergrowth. Occasionally, the sharp alarm of a francolin or the distant bark of a baboon echoed, hinting at unseen dramas unfolding nearby. Beneath the chorus, subtler sounds revealed themselves. The faint rustle of a lizard darting through dry grass, the soft patter of a gecko's feet on bark, the whisper of a snake sliding unseen through the leaf litter. The bush seemed to breathe, every movement a clue, every sound a message. The scent of fresh dung and the musky odor of buffalo lingered in the air, mingling with the sweet fermented aroma of overripe marula fruit fallen to the ground. Occasionally, a sudden gust would carry the sharp, acrid tang of a predator's marking, a silent warning to all who passed. The environment was in constant motion, though much of it was nearly invisible. A branch quivered as a bird took flight. Shadows flickered as a mongoose darted between rocks. The grass parted for a moment, betraying the passage of a small antelope, its hooves barely making a sound. Even the dust told stories, tiny prints of rodents, the sweeping tail mark of a monitor lizard, the deep, fresh imprints of buffalo hooves pressed into the earth. Each sign was a fleeting record of life, written and erased by the wind and the passing of time. The bush was a living, breathing entity, its secrets revealed only to those who listened with every sense. Here, every scent, every sound, every subtle movement was a thread in the intricate fabric of the wild. The sun hung mercilessly overhead, its rays pouring down in waves that made the very air ripple and dance above the parched earth. The savannah was alive with the hum of insects, the distant calls of birds, and the ever-present rustle of the dry grass. But beneath it all was a heavy, expectant silence. Somewhere in the thicket, a presence shifted, a massive, dark form almost invisible against the tangled brush. The buffalo, a creature of immense power and unpredictable temperament, stood half-shrouded by leaves, its muscles tensed beneath a hide marked by years of survival. A flick of its ear betrayed its position, the only movement in a tableau of stillness. The animal's nostrils flared, testing the air, sensing the faintest disturbance. Its eyes, dark and intelligent, scanned the horizon, alert to every subtle change in the wind and every distant sound. The tension in the air was palpable, as if the entire landscape was holding its breath. Even the birds seemed to quiet, their songs replaced by a hush that settled over the bush. A lizard froze on a sun-baked rock, its head cocked, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Insects paused their chorus, and a distant antelope, hidden in the tall grass, raised its head, ears swiveling toward the thicket. The buffalo stood alone, a solitary bull, perhaps an old warrior cast out from the herd, or a sentinel guarding his territory. His presence radiated a raw, untamed energy that sent ripples through the ecosystem. Every creature nearby seemed to sense the latent danger, the possibility of sudden violence. As the buffalo shifted its weight, birds hidden in the canopy fluttered nervously, and a troop of vervet monkeys high in the acacia branches fell silent, their eyes fixed on the shadowy form below. The grass itself seemed to tremble as the animal's hooves pressed into the earth, ready to bolt or charge at the slightest provocation. The world narrowed to a single, breathless moment. Every living thing, predator, prey, and bystander, waited in silent anticipation, aware that the next movement could unleash chaos or bring the savannah back to its uneasy peace. The first sighting was not just a visual encounter, it was a collision of instincts, a silent conversation between hunter, hunted, and the wild itself. In that suspended instant, the hunt truly began, not with a chase, but with a shared awareness that rippled through the land, binding all its creatures in a web of tension and possibility. The real stalk was now underway. The savannah stretched before us, a patchwork of golden grasses and scattered acacia trees, each shadow and hollow a potential hiding place for both hunter and prey. The ground beneath was a mosaic of cracked earth and soft dust, broken by the occasional imprint of a heavy hoof. Each track told a story, the deep, rounded marks of the buffalo, pressed into the soil, still fresh and sharp at the edges, revealed its recent passage. The buffalo itself was a shadow among shadows, its massive form barely visible through the tangled undergrowth. Occasionally, a flick of its tail or the slow turn of its head would disturb a cloud of flies, sending them buzzing into shafts of sunlight. The animal's presence was felt as much as seen, a subtle vibration in the air, the faint scent of musk and trampled grass, the tension of a creature always on the edge of flight or fury. Its horns, caked with mud and glinting in the dappled light, were a silent warning to any who dared approach. The terrain itself was a living map, guiding the stalk. Broken twigs, freshly nibbled leaves, and the faint drag of a hoof through loose sand marked the buffalo's slow, deliberate movements. The wind shifted, carrying with it the dry, earthy aroma of the bush and the distant warning calls of birds, each sound a clue, each silence a signal. Every step forward was measured against the rhythm of the land. The grass whispered against the buffalo's flanks as it grazed, and the faintest rustle could betray the presence of an intruder. The sun, now climbing higher, cast shifting patterns of light and shadow, making the animal's outline blur and reappear with every movement. The buffalo paused, nostrils flaring as it tested the wind, searching for the scent of danger. Its ears flicked, attuned to the faintest crackle or snap. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath, the only sound the distant call of a hornbill and the soft hum of insects. The animal's muscles rippled beneath its hide, a coiled spring of potential energy. The ground bore the scars of its passage, flattened grass, churned earth, and the occasional tuft of black hair snagged on a thorn. Each sign was a testament to the buffalo's strength and the challenge that lay ahead. The environment itself seemed to conspire in the drama. The shifting breeze, the dappled light, the chorus of unseen creatures. Every element of the landscape became part of the hunt, every detail a thread in the tapestry of the stalk. The tension was almost unbearable, the air thick with anticipation. The world had narrowed to this moment, this patch of wild earth, and the silent, watchful presence of the great, dark beast. In the shimmering heat of the savannah, the air was thick with anticipation. The only sound was the faint creak of a bowstring, taut and trembling, as Cowder prepared to release his arrow. The world seemed to narrow to a single, breathless moment, every blade of grass, every mote of dust suspended in the golden light. The arrow sliced through the air, a silent flash against the endless sky. It struck the buffalo's flank with a muffled thud, and for a heartbeat the entire landscape froze. Even the insects seemed to pause, as if the savannah itself was holding its breath. Then chaos erupted. The buffalo's roar shattered the silence, a deep guttural bellow that rolled across the plains and sent birds scattering from the acacia trees. The animal spun, its hooves tearing up the earth, sending clods of dirt and clouds of dust spiraling into the air. Its eyes, wild and furious, searched the bush for its unseen assailant. The ground trembled beneath the buffalo's charge. Each thunderous step sent vibrations through the tangled undergrowth, shaking loose dry leaves and sending small creatures scurrying for cover. The dust rose in thick, swirling columns, obscuring the sun and turning the world into a haze of movement and sound. The buffalo crashed through the brush, its massive body a force of nature unleashed. Branches snapped and grasses flattened beneath its weight. The air was alive with the sound of pounding hooves, the sharp crack of breaking twigs, and the low, relentless rumble of the animal's rage. As the buffalo wheeled and charged, the savannah became a maelstrom of noise and motion. The bellowing of the wounded beast mingled with the frantic calls of birds and the distant alarm cries of other animals. Dust billowed in every direction, swirling around the buffalo's form and painting the scene in shades of ochre and gold. The animal's nostrils flared, drawing in the scent of fear and adrenaline. Its breath came in heavy, ragged bursts, each exhale sending more dust into the air. The buffalo's horns, sharp and gleaming, cut through the haze as it lowered its head, preparing to charge again. The chaos was total. The savannah echoed with the cacophony of the hunt, crashing brush, the thunder of hooves, the guttural bellows of the buffalo, and the distant, panicked calls of wildlife fleeing the scene. The dust hung thick, obscuring shapes and turning the world into a shifting, uncertain landscape. In that moment, the hunt was no longer a contest of skill, but a desperate struggle for survival. The buffalo, wounded and enraged, was transformed into a living storm, an unstoppable force of nature, lashing out at everything in its path. The air vibrated with danger, and the savannah itself seemed to tremble beneath the weight of the chaos unleashed. Just as the buffalo lowered its head to charge Halali again, in the animal kingdom, the strength of the group is a matter of survival. Buffalo, for example, are renowned for their powerful herds. When threatened by predators, they form a living wall, adults circling the vulnerable calves, horns out, presenting a united front that few would dare challenge. Lions, too, rely on cooperation. A pride will fan out, each member playing a role, some driving the prey, others waiting in ambush. Their success depends not on individual strength but on the seamless coordination of the group. Elephants, when faced with danger, instinctively close ranks. The matriarch leads and the herd moves as one, their massive bodies forming an impenetrable barrier around the youngest and weakest. Even in the skies, flocks of birds evade predators through perfect synchronization, twisting and turning as a single entity, confusing attackers and protecting the flock as a whole. In the water, schools of fish move as one, their bodies flashing in the sunlight as they dart away from danger, each individual's movement guided by the group's collective instinct. The buffalo in our story, though alone, carries the spirit of its herd. Its aggression and resilience are the same qualities that, in a group, would make it nearly untouchable. In every corner of the wild, survival is a test of unity. Predator and prey alike depend on the strength of their group, on trust, communication, and the willingness to risk everything for one another. When buffalo stampede, it is not just a display of power, but of collective will. Each animal moves with the herd, their safety found in numbers, their courage multiplied by the presence of their kin. Packs of wild dogs, though smaller than their prey, succeed through relentless teamwork. Each member knows its place, and together they achieve what none could alone. During the Great Migrations, wildebeest cross rivers, teeming with crocodiles. It is the surge of the herd, the collective push, that allows so many to survive the perilous journey. In herds of antelope, many eyes and ears mean early warning. The group's vigilance is its greatest defense, each individual relying on the senses of the others. When a buffalo is wounded, the herd may return, rallying around their fallen member, sometimes even driving off predators with sheer determination and unity. This is the lesson of the wild. Survival is not just about strength or speed, but about the bonds that tie individuals together. In the face of danger, it is the group that endures. As the sun sets over the savannah, the buffalo herd moves on, united, resilient, and ever watchful, a living testament to the power of cooperation in the natural world. The hunt for the buffalo was over for now. As the sun dipped lower, the savannah was transformed by the shifting light, every blade of grass catching the last golden rays. The world around us changed with every step. Long shadows stretched across the land, and the air cooled, carrying the scent of dry earth and crushed leaves. Birds wheeled overhead, their calls echoing in the stillness, while small creatures emerged from their hiding places, emboldened by the coming night. Herds of impala grazed quietly at the edge of the bush, their ears flicking at every sound, and a lone giraffe moved with slow grace across the horizon, its shape barely visible in the deepening dusk. The air was alive with the hum of insects, and as the temperature dropped, a faint mist began to settle in the hollows, dew forming on the tips of the grass. Somewhere in the distance, a hyena called, its voice rising and falling in the gathering dark, while a nightjar swooped low, its wings catching the last glimmers of sunlight. The moon rose pale and full, casting a silvery sheen over the land, and the first stars appeared, bright and cold in the endless sky. Termite mounds cast long, strange shadows, and the wind whispered through the tall grass, creating ripples that moved like water across the plain. Far off, thunderclouds gathered, their edges lit by occasional flashes of lightning, while ancient baobab trees stood silent and watchful, guardians of the night. As darkness deepened, the chorus of crickets and frogs began, filling the air with a tapestry of sound, and fireflies blinked in the undergrowth, tiny beacons in the night. The savannah under starlight felt vast and mysterious, the path ahead illuminated only by memory and the promise of home. In the distance, the glow of campfires beckoned, their warmth and light a silent welcome through the darkness, guiding us ever onward. Spending that day immersed in the wild, shadowing the Hadzabe hunters, was a profound lesson in humility and respect for the natural world. The hunt was not merely a pursuit of prey, but a masterclass in reading the subtle language of the land, interpreting the faintest tracks, the shift of the wind, and the warning calls of birds. Observing the buffalo, I saw creatures finely attuned to their environment, every sense heightened for survival. Their movements were deliberate, their caution a testament to the constant presence of danger. The environment itself was a living, breathing entity, ever-changing, unpredictable, and demanding respect from all who inhabit it. Nature's cycles of scarcity and abundance shape every life here, from the smallest insect to the largest predator. Each creature, plant, and element is woven into a complex web of interdependence. I learned that survival is not about dominance, but about adaptation and awareness. The animals teach us that every action has consequences, and every decision can mean the difference between life and death. As dusk settled, the land transformed. The calls of nocturnal creatures replaced the daytime chorus, and the air grew thick with anticipation and mystery. The hunt revealed the delicate balance between predator and prey, a dance as old as time itself. Each side is shaped by the other, evolving strategies for survival in a world that offers no guarantees. The environment is both a provider and a challenger, offering sustenance but demanding respect and understanding in return. Every element, from the smallest organism to the grandest landscape, plays a vital role in maintaining the fragile equilibrium of this ecosystem. The lessons of the hunt extend far beyond the chase. They are lessons in patience, observation, and the humility required to exist within nature's grand design. Nature teaches that destruction and renewal are intertwined, and that every ending is the beginning of something new. The true lesson from the hunt is one of interconnectedness, of understanding that we are but one part of a vast, intricate system, and that our survival depends on our ability to listen, learn, and adapt. As I left the savannah, I carried with me a renewed sense of awe for the wisdom of nature, the resilience of its creatures, and the enduring beauty of the wild places that still remain. As darkness settles over Lake Eyasi, the landscape undergoes a quiet transformation. The sun's fading glow gives way to a tapestry of shadows, and the air cools, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and wild sage. What was once familiar in daylight now shifts, revealing the hidden rhythms of the night. A chorus of insects rises, crickets, cicadas, and unseen beetles weaving a symphony that pulses through the stillness. The calls of diurnal birds fade, replaced by the haunting calls of nightjars and the soft, rhythmic hooting of owls perched in acacia branches. Their eyes, sharp and unblinking, scan the darkness for the slightest movement below. Along the water's edge, the surface of the lake ripples as hippos emerge from their daytime refuge. Their massive forms move silently through the shallows, grazing on reeds and aquatic plants. In the distance, the faint splash of a fish breaking the surface hints at unseen dramas beneath the water. The undergrowth becomes a stage for smaller, more elusive actors. Bush babies leap from branch to branch, their large eyes glowing in the moonlight as they forage for insects and sweet fruit. A genet cat slips through the shadows, its spotted coat blending seamlessly with the dappled darkness. Each step is measured, every sound amplified in the hush of night. Above, bats flit and swoop, navigating by echolocation, as they hunt for moths drawn to the pale glow of the moon. The gentle rustle of leaves betrays the movement of a porcupine searching for roots, while the distant yips of jackals echo across the plains, signaling to their kin. In this nocturnal world, every creature is both hunter and hunted. The night air vibrates with tension and anticipation. Every sound, every scent, every shadow holds meaning. The ecosystem adapts, shifting its focus from the visible to the invisible, from the obvious to the obscure. As the hours pass, mist rises from the lake, shrouding the landscape in a veil of silver. The boundaries between water, earth, and sky blur, and the interconnectedness of life becomes even more apparent. Here, in the secret world of night, survival depends on senses sharpened by necessity and instincts honed by countless generations. Lake Eyasi's night is not merely an absence of light, but a realm alive with purpose and possibility. It is a reminder that the cycle of life continues in every hour, and that the wild holds mysteries known only to those who listen closely and watch patiently. In the darkness, the intricate web of life endures, quietly, resiliently, beneath the stars. As dawn approaches once more, the landscape of Lake Eyasi becomes a crossroads for ancient journeys. Across the plains, herds of buffalo emerge from the shadows, their silhouettes moving in unison, a living current flowing across the savannah. Driven by instinct and the promise of fresh grazing, they follow migration routes etched into memory by countless generations. Buffalo are not alone in their passage. Zebra, wildebeest, and gazelle also traverse these timeless paths, each species attuned to the subtle cues of the land, the scent of rain on distant winds, the greening of grass after a storm, the call of a leader guiding the way. These migrations are a testament to endurance and adaptation, as animals travel vast distances in search of sustenance and safety. The herds move with a measured urgency, calves sheltered within the group, older members taking the lead. Predators, too, are drawn to this cycle. Lions and hyenas shadow the herds, testing the weak and unwary, ensuring only the strongest survive. But the migration is not merely a struggle for life. It is a renewal, vital to the health of the ecosystem. As animals graze and move on, they shape the land itself, dispersing seeds, fertilizing soil, and maintaining the delicate balance between grassland and woodland. Above, the sky is marked by the wings of migratory birds, following their own invisible highways across continents. Their arrival and departure synchronize with the rhythms of the herds below, weaving a larger story of movement and change. These migrations are ancient, older than memory, and essential to the pulse of Lake Eyasi. They remind us that survival in the wild is not a solitary act, but a collective journey, one that connects every creature to the cycles of the land, the turning of the seasons, and the enduring quest for life. As the cycle of migration continues, the land itself undergoes a quiet metamorphosis. Seasons at Lake Eyasi are sculptors, carving new realities into the earth with each passing month. When the rains finally arrive, the parched soil breathes in the lifeblood of water. Grasses surge skyward in vibrant green waves, transforming the once dusty plains into a tapestry of abundance. Shallow pools form where none existed before, attracting thirsty antelope and the delicate steps of crowned cranes. The air shimmers with renewed energy. Frogs emerge from their muddy refuges, their calls echoing across the wetlands. Insects hatch in clouds so dense they blur the horizon, becoming a feast for swallows and dragonflies. The abundance draws in larger predators who patrol the verdant thickets, alert to every rustle and ripple. But as the months wear on, the sun's intensity returns, and the landscape shifts once more. Waterholes shrink, their muddy banks marked by the desperate tracks of animals seeking the last remnants of moisture. Trees shed leaves, exposing intricate networks of branches against the sky, while the grasslands fade to gold and ochre. Wildebeest and zebra, ever watchful, sense the land's transformation and prepare to move again. Yet, even in scarcity, life persists. Elephants dig into dry riverbeds with practiced patience, unearthing hidden water for themselves and others. Birds forage among fallen pods, and small mammals retreat to the cool shelter of burrows. The changing seasons serve as both challenge and invitation, testing resilience, rewarding adaptation, and ensuring that every creature remains attuned to the subtle signals of the wild. In this endless dance of drought and rain, Lake Eyasi's landscape is both stage and participant, a silent architect that shapes the destinies of all who call it home. In the tapestry of Lake Eyasi's ecosystem, not every story is told in bright colors or gentle rhythms. Some unfold in the subtle tension of shadows, in the patient silence before the chase, or in the quiet aftermath of a kill. Here, predators and scavengers are not merely takers, they are essential stewards, shaping the balance of life with every calculated move. Lions prowl the tall grass at dawn, their golden eyes scanning for the weak or unwary. Each hunt, whether successful or not, plays a vital role, culling the herd, strengthening the gene pool, and ensuring that the fragile balance of prey and predator endures. Leopards, elusive and solitary, slip through the tangled woodlands, their presence revealed only by the fleeting alarm of birds or the sudden hush that falls over the undergrowth. But the story does not end with the predator's victory. Hyenas, often misunderstood, follow at a distance, keen senses guiding them to the leftovers of a lion's meal or the remains of a failed hunt. Their powerful jaws make short work of bones and sinew, recycling nutrients back into the earth. Vultures spiral high overhead, their sharp eyesight detecting the faintest glint of carrion from miles away. Descending in patient flocks, they pick clean what others leave behind, preventing disease and returning essential elements to the soil. Jackals, marabou storks, and even the smallest beetles and ants join this quiet procession, each playing a role in the efficient removal of what is no longer needed. Through their tireless work, nothing is wasted. The death of one life becomes the nourishment of many, fueling the next generation and maintaining the delicate equilibrium of this wild place. In Lake Eyasi's eternal cycle, predators and scavengers are neither villains nor heroes. They are the unseen custodians, ensuring that every ending becomes a new beginning, and that the pulse of life continues, unbroken, across the changing seasons. Beneath the vast Tanzanian sky, where the drama of predator and prey unfolds, a quieter story takes root. It is the story of Lake Eyasi's plants, the silent architects of the savanna, woodland and lakeshore. Their presence is unassuming, yet their influence shapes every breath of life in this intricate ecosystem. Acacia trees, with their umbrella canopies, rise above the grasses, casting dappled shade that cools the earth and shelters countless creatures. Their thorny branches are both a barrier and a banquet, protecting tender leaves while inviting giraffes and antelopes to feed, sparking a delicate dance of adaptation and survival. Beneath them, the resilient baobab stands sentinel, its swollen trunk storing water through long, parched months, and its fruit offering sustenance to birds, baboons, and even elephants. The grasses, in endless variety, sway with the rhythms of wind and season. Some grow tall and tough, anchoring the soil against the battering rains, while others sprout tender and sweet, nourishing the great herds that roam these plains. Wildflowers, tiny bursts of color, dot the landscape after the rains, their fleeting blooms drawing insects and pollinators, ensuring the next generation. Closer to the lake, papyrus reeds form dense green barricades, their roots filtering water, providing refuge for nesting birds and stabilizing the shifting shoreline. In the drier uplands, succulents and hardy shrubs cling to rocky outcrops, their leaves thickened to store precious moisture, their blossoms timed to the rarest rains. Every plant, from the towering fig to the humblest moss, weaves itself into the web of Lake Eyasi's life. Their roots bind the earth, their leaves feed the air, and their seeds promise renewal. They are the foundation upon which all else depends, the silent architects who transform sunlight into sustenance and soil into sanctuary. In the hush between hunts and migrations, it is the plants that endure, shaping the land and sustaining the pulse of life, quietly, persistently, and indispensably. Across the sweeping Tanzanian landscape, water is the rarest treasure, an invisible thread connecting every life at Lake Eyasi. From the shimmering surface of the lake itself to the scattered seasonal streams and hidden springs, water shapes the destinies of all who dwell here. In the wet season, rainfall breathes new vitality into the earth, pools form in ancient riverbeds, and the lake's edge expands, drawing herds of zebra, impala, and buffalo to drink. Birds gather in dazzling variety, their calls echoing over the reeds. Elephants and warthogs wade into shallows, cooling their hides and stirring up mud that nourishes the soil. But as the dry season tightens its grip, these water sources shrink and vanish. The lake recedes, exposing cracked earth and salt flats. Only the deepest pools remain, lifelines fiercely guarded and fiercely contested. Wildebeest and antelope trek for miles, risking ambush at crowded watering holes. Crocodiles lurk in the shallows, while flocks of birds compete for dwindling space. For smaller creatures, survival depends on cunning. Nocturnal animals emerge to lap dew from leaves. Baboons dig for hidden springs, and honey guides lead honey badgers to water-filled tree hollows. Even the resilient plants play their part. Baobabs store rainwater in swollen trunks, and succulent leaves offer moisture to desperate grazers. Yet each dry season brings new challenges. As climate patterns shift and droughts grow longer, the struggle for water intensifies. Some species adapt, while others move on or perish. The rhythms of Lake Eyasi are governed by this eternal cycle of abundance and scarcity, of hope and hardship. Here, water is more than a resource. It is the lifeblood of the land, the silent force that sculpts every story, sustains every journey, and binds the fates of predator and prey alike beneath the boundless African sky. As the first golden rays spill across Lake Eyasi, a symphony of motion begins. Each species, from the smallest insect to the largest mammal, is bound to a unique rhythm, a daily dance choreographed by instinct, necessity, and the shifting moods of the land. At sunrise, a dazzle of zebras stirs from their shallow slumber. They graze in tight formation, ever watchful for the flicker of movement in the tall grass. Their mornings are a balance of feeding and vigilance, ears flicking and nostrils flaring at the faintest scent of danger. Nearby, a troop of olive baboons descends from their rocky roosts. The adults fan out, foraging for tubers and insects, while the young tumble in playful chaos, learning the boundaries of their world. As the day warms, the activity shifts. Herds of impala seek shade beneath the acacias, chewing cud and flicking away persistent flies with rhythmic tail swishes. In the reeds at the water's edge, a pair of black-headed herons stand motionless, poised to strike at passing fish or frogs. Dragonflies skim the surface, their wings catching the light, while beneath, crocodiles float with only eyes and nostrils exposed, waiting for opportunity. By midday, the land grows still, the heat presses down and most creatures retreat. Burrowing rodents escape to the cool safety of their tunnels, and leopard tortoises tuck tightly into their shells beneath thorny brush. Only the hardiest remain active. A procession of elephants moves with deliberate purpose to a distant watering hole, their footsteps thudding softly in the dust. They dig with their trunks, unearthing hidden reserves of moisture, each movement an echo of ancient memory. As the sun lowers, the tempo rises once more. Warthogs kneel to graze on tender shoots, their piglets darting in and out of the shadows. A solitary serval cat slinks through the grass, ears swiveling for the rustle of rodents. Overhead, clouds of red-billed quelea wheel and settle, their collective wings a living tapestry against the fading sky. Nightfall brings a new cast of characters. Genets glide between branches, eyes gleaming in the moonlight. Spring hares bound across open ground, their movements swift and unpredictable. The distant roar of a lion signals a hunt, while a chorus of frogs erupts from hidden pools, their calls weaving into the nocturnal soundscape. Every day at Lake Eyasi is a masterpiece of adaptation, a series of choices and rituals, finely tuned to the pulse of the land. Here, survival is not just a struggle, but a testament to the intricate patterns that have evolved over millennia, shaping the lives of all who call these wild shores home. As the sun dips behind the distant rift, Lake Eyasi transforms into a living orchestra, its players unseen, but their presence unmistakable. The air vibrates with a layered symphony, where every sound tells a story of survival and connection. A distant lion's roar rumbles across the plains, commanding silence and respect. In its wake, the staccato alarm calls of impalas ripple through the grass, sharp and urgent, while baboons bark from the safety of their rocky outcrops, voices echoing in the cooling air. Closer to the water, the gentle lapping of waves mingles with the rhythmic croak of frogs, each note rising and falling in a timeless chorus. Reed beds shiver as herons shuffle for better footing, their wings rustling like silk against the dusk. Dragonflies click and buzz, tracing invisible paths above the glassy surface. In the thickets, a porcupine rattles its quills, a warning whispered into the shadows, while the soft footfalls of a serval cat barely disturb the leaf litter beneath. Insects hum with tireless energy, a constant undercurrent weaving through the night. Above, the sky pulses with the wings of quelea, their collective movement a soft rolling thunder. Occasionally, the haunting whoop of a spotted hyena carries on the wind, a reminder that the night belongs to those who listen and wait. Every call, every rustle, every hush and crescendo is a note in Lake Eyasi's endless composition. Here even silence is full, pregnant with possibility, charged with life. In this wild place, sound is more than noise. It is the heartbeat of the land itself, calling out to all who dwell within its embrace. Across the vast expanse of Lake Eyasi, weather is more than a backdrop. It is the silent conductor of every life and every hunt. Each day, the sky writes a new script, sometimes with gentle, hazy sunlight filtering through morning mists, and other times with clouds massing in brooding silence, promising storms that can sweep the plains clean in minutes. The shifting winds carry both opportunity and challenge, scattering scents and sounds, forcing both predator and prey to adapt their strategies with every gust. As the rainy season arrives, the landscape is reborn, parched earth softens and new grasses emerge, drawing herds of grazers to the water's edge. The abundance of prey means hunters must move with greater stealth, as heightened alertness ripples through the herds. Puddles and temporary streams become lifelines, but they also reshape the terrain. Tracks vanish overnight, and familiar paths become treacherous with mud. Hunters read the land anew, interpreting subtle changes in the color of leaves or the pattern of clouds, knowing that a sudden downpour can erase all traces of the day's pursuit. In the dry season, the sun's relentless heat bakes the ground, shrinking the lake's margins and concentrating life around the dwindling water. The hunt grows more desperate and calculated, prey is wary, and every movement is measured against the risk of exposure. The brittle grass crackles underfoot, and dust hangs in the air, carrying the scent of both hunter and hunted farther than before. Waterholes become arenas of tension, where patience is as vital as skill. Climate is the unseen architect here, shaping not just the migration of animals, but the very character of each hunt. Prolonged droughts test the resilience of the ecosystem, thinning herds and forcing predators to broaden their search. Unseasonal storms can disrupt breeding cycles and alter the delicate balance between species. Every shift in temperature, every unexpected wind leaves an imprint on the land, on its creatures, and on the ancient rhythms that have played out here for millennia. In this intricate dance between weather and life, adaptation is the only certainty. For those who call Lake Eyasi home, each day is a lesson in resilience, written in the language of clouds, rain and wind, a story as old as the land itself. As the sun sets over Lake Eyasi, the day's final light weaves gold across water and land. Every life here, plant, animal, and even the shifting air itself, plays a part in an ancient, intricate tapestry. The hunter's path is shaped by the weather, just as the prey's vigilance is sharpened by the ever-changing winds. Grasses rise and fall with the rains, nourishing herds that, in turn, sustain the predators who walk these plains. Even the smallest insect, the rarest flower, and the fleeting puddle after a storm are vital threads in this web, each dependent on and shaping the others. This is not a world of isolated struggles, but a living network of relationships. The seasons do not simply change. They orchestrate cycles of abundance and scarcity, migration and rest, birth and renewal. Water carves the land, while the land channels the water's flow. Every sound, every scent, every shadow carries meaning, a message passed silently from one life to another. In Lake Eyasi's wild embrace, survival is not just about strength or cunning, but about harmony. The balance is delicate, and every choice ripples outward, touching lives unseen and unknown. Here, the story of life is not written by a single hand, but composed by countless, interconnected actors, each responding to the ever-present call of the land. As darkness settles, the voices of the wild never truly fall silent. They remind us, in this place and on this planet, nothing stands alone. The fate of one is bound to the fate of all, and the wisdom of survival lies in understanding the ties that bind us together, in the threads of life, woven by time, weather, and the enduring spirit of Lake Eyasi.